Ladies and gentlemen, I have some terrible news about the Alfa Romeo. It has failed its MOT. Now, as you know, I bought this Alfa Romeo for just £3,300, the cheapest one in the country at the moment being around 10 grand. So we didn't expect it to be perfect, and today we're going to try and get it as close to perfect as possible so I can finally, hopefully, pass my MOT. But there's some serious work that needs to be done. Let's get straight into it. Now, one of the biggest problems with a car like this is that it is pretty rare. I mean, there's probably like 10 to 20 of these on the roads in the UK right now, so getting parts can be really difficult. Which is why I'm very happy that eBay decided to collaborate with me on this video to help get some parts for this car. And even though it's so rare, I was able to get all of these parts you see down here for the car and some more up there as well.
And that was all thanks to eBay Assured Fit. I simply put the Alfa's registration plate in and was given a bunch of parts and accessories that would fit my car, even with it being so rare. It's great because in the past I found it so difficult to find parts that definitely fit my cars, and the amount of times I've ordered something that doesn't fit, it just gets so frustrating. eBay Assured Fit makes this so much easier, and if the part you buy somehow doesn't fit, you're protected with free returns for 30 days. The best thing for someone like me with multiple cars too is I can keep them all in a garage on eBay and find the parts I need for each car as and when I need them.
And a reminder that you can get 20% off MOT parts for your car from eBay from the 1st of Feb to the 16th of April. Click the link in the description or the QR code on screen somewhere. Go grab yourself some MOT parts that will help you pass your MOT, just like hopefully these things are going to do today. Now, I've got to be honest with you, there is one major problem that we've had to get sorted, and luckily I was able to find the parts on eBay we've already kind of done. And that is, of course, to do with rust. What you should be seeing on screen right now is what we first saw when we went to the MOT centre, a whole bunch of rust. In fact, a huge hole near the rear suspension on the left-hand side. Genuinely, I was expecting the whole underside of the car to be much worse than it actually was, but where the suspension was mounting to the car, it looked like cheese and had a fat hole there. So of course the car had to fail its MOT on that. Luckily, I have a dad who's a car mechanic to help me get myself a lovely sill that has gone in just over there, which helps me to breathe a huge sigh of relief, because though there's probably a little bit more rust work that needs to be done, particularly around some of the bodywork and that kind of stuff, and a little bit on the sill on the right hand side as well, it's not currently structural or bad in any kind of way, so we can get away with hopefully passing the MOT. Now, with that all said and done, let's go do some actual work to this car. And the first thing we need to work on is the brakes.
Now, there is one super annoying problem with my existing brakes. They squeak like crazy. I'm pretty sure the disc has also warped on one side, so the MOT came out saying we had imbalanced braking power between each side. So I grabbed these nice drilled and grooved M-Tech discs and pads, and my dad and I got them onto the car. Simple enough job: remove the wheel, take the caliper off, remove the pins holding the brake pads in, remove the disc and replace it, of course, and then put it all back together. Sadly, it was made a bit more annoying by some of the rusty components and bolts, so I left my dad to get on with that while I got on with something else. We'll check back in on him later. This one isn't particularly MOT relevant, but it definitely annoys me how weathered the Alfa badge looked at the front, so I thought it would be an easy one to sort out. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. Alfa made it way more difficult than it needs to be, as you have to remove the entire grille, take the chrome trim off, and get a bolt out of the back, which sadly had completely seized, so we had to drill it out in order to get the new badge on. And we decided in this instance to just use some adhesive instead, making it much easier to swap out in future.
Now, despite the fact that Alfa Romeo make it incredibly difficult for you to take the grille and the badge off, I'm very happy with how that's come out in the end. That is looking so much cleaner than the old trashy one that we had on there.
So again, while Dad carried on with the brakes, I cracked on with another feature that probably needs sorting sooner rather than later, the case of the missing front fog lamps. These are known to be basically consumables with the 156, given they literally sit in the prime location to get smashed by stones, as my dad is kindly showing us here. Unfortunately, however, before I could make any progress on this, I ran into two issues that halted operations entirely.
We are missing the bracket from the bumper to put them in place, so need to get a bracket fitted for that, which we'll do another day. The other thing as well is that they're not currently turning on. They're getting power to them, but they haven't got an earth. So yes, a couple more bits need to be sorted. All fun and games.
Now back to those brakes, and with some serious rust sliced up and re-welded behind the discs, they were finally on the car, ready to get the sound test, and luckily they no longer make annoying squealing noises. Of course, I want this car to garner attention one day, but not like that.
I am a big fan of how good these disc brake looks in there. I honestly didn't buy these to get them looking good behind the wheel, and obviously the wheel needs some serious work to get it looking fresh. but I'm very happy with how that's come out.
One of the worst things about these old Alphas is of course the rust, as has been shown by this MOT failure sitting right before your eyes. And you know what makes rust worse? Leaving bits that are susceptible to rust open to the elements. So someone needs to explain to me why when I got this car the left wheel arch lining was missing, as basically all the components around the wheel are now disgustingly rusty. For the sake of not worsening the issue, we've put a brand new wheel arch liner into that front left, but I fear it may be too little too late. In the not too distant future, I think a lot of these parts are going to need to be stripped out and replaced, but at least the wheel arch liner hides that problem for now.
So I was going to try and paint the calipers as well today, but there are two things that are slightly wrong with this. Number one is that actually they don't really necessarily need as much painting as I expected. I think I might save that for when I do some more stuff to the wheel, more on that soon. And two, I wanted to keep the Alfa Romeo on the caliper as well, this kind of Alfa Romeo bit right here. I can't really do that if I chuck this on over the top. So for now, I'm just going to leave it off, but just want to show you the piece anyway that, again, I got from eBay.
And there is one thing every good Alfa Romeo needs, and I would personally say is absolutely vital for an MOT, some quadrifolio badges. This badge never actually came on the GTA, so you could say this is a bit like me putting an M badge on a standard BMW, but hear me out for a second. The quad badge first appeared in 1923 for the Targa Florio as a good luck charm, and has been used on Alfa race cars ever since, as well as their rarest, fastest road cars. So given my Alfa is one of their rarest and fastest road cars of its era, an era in which the 4-leaf clover wasn't really used, I think it's only fair it gets the badge, but I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below.
And we have another small bit to get done here, so if I just very quickly turn the old car on, this window goes down, this window goes down, the rear right one does as well, but that one there does absolutely nothing. So got a new motor to put in that.
This is one of the most fiddly and difficult jobs to do on a car. You've got to remove the door card, remove the sound deadening, and somehow contort your hand to be able to get into the back of the door, blindly removing the old motor and fitting in the new one. We did, however, find that we couldn't get the switch to raise or lower the window, even though it would work when attached to its own power source. Luckily, we worked out the front switches for the rear window did work, and now it's literally the best performing window in the car. I might have to switch out all the others too.
So that was crazy. So we've got it working now on the rear window, which is nice. So it's going up and down, but only using the front switches. The rear ones aren't working. I'm pretty sure, well, I'm guessing at least, that it's to do with a child lock system stopping the rears from going. Unfortunately, despite having had this car for a couple of months now, I have no idea where the child locks are at all. So get that sorted at some point. By the way, I do think it's actually quite crazy that despite this car being so ridiculously rare, we can get all of these parts for it on eBay, both new and used parts as well. I mean, like new parts like the window motor and old parts like the fog lamps.
And one more major job to do to the car to get it MOT ready is getting the exhaust to actually be held in the car, because right now it's basically hanging freely on the anti-roll bars.
And in order to fit that exhaust back in position, I have got these. They are simply, well, they were perished underneath the car when I looked at them at the MOT. So just chuck these new ones on and hopefully that exhaust will come back up to correct position.
Now, unfortunately, as I think is likely to become a bit of a theme with this car, we had to change plans completely. There was just too much rust on the old hangers for the exhaust, so rather than me simply attaching the rubber to hold the exhaust in place, Dad grabbed out the welder and built a new hanger from scratch that could then do the job instead. But with that all said and done, the exhaust finally is in the right spot and doesn't scrape on speed bumps.
And so with all that done, it is time to take the car home, and hopefully, when I take it to MOT tomorrow, it will pass. Let's see how this goes. I have some incredible news for you. It passed its MOT. It passed its MOT. Absolutely insane. It was mostly the rust, obviously go over the line, but the rust and the brakes were the two things that were showing up on the report as being really bad, needing to change. Got them done, and here we are. Amazing. And of course, I have to thank eBay again for the partnership on this video. Without them, it wouldn't have been possible. Without eBay Assured Fit and MOT, there's no way this car would have passed MOT. I would have never been able to find the parts for it. A reminder to always check out eBay Assured Fit whenever you're looking for stuff for your car. Enter your reg number, you should find a whole host of stuff that should fit. And don't forget, you can get 20% off MOT products between the 1st of February and the 16th of April. So get on eBay and go get those parts.